how do you stop feeling like an imposter? Well, take action. Hello and welcome to Pillars of Wealth Creation, where we talk about creating financial success with a special focus on business and real estate. I'm your host, Todd Dexheimer. Now, let's get to it. Hello and welcome back to Pillars of Wealth Creation. I'm your host, Todd Dexheimer. With me, excited to have Matt Jones. Matt, you're here today.
Yes, I am.
All right, we got you back for every single Wednesday. These hump day hustles. So excited to have you, and we're gonna dive in. So Matt, man, what are we talking about today?
How to stop feeling like an imposter in real estate investing.
Yeah, how to stop feeling like an imposter. Well, I'm gonna say it first because it's got to be said, because that's the first thing on my head when I think about how do you stop feeling like an imposter. Well, take action.
There we go.
That's like all done. We're done here for today.
Well, I think we can say a little more, but
yeah, I think the most important part is, look, you got to take action. If you don't want to feel like an imposter, then stop being an imposter, right? Don't be an imposter. So take action, buy some deals, get some deals done, get in communication with people, take the steps that it takes to be that, real estate investor, whatever you're trying to get to. You've got to actually take action. So I think that's first and foremost. Look, and action looks different. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to buy that first piece of property, because I definitely called myself a real estate investor before I bought my first piece of property, but I was taking action, right? I was underwriting deals. I was communicating with real estate agents. I was making offers. I was taking all the steps. I was learning everything there was that I could possibly get my arms around. So I was taking every single step it took to become a real estate investor. So when people would ask me, yeah, I was a real estate investor. I was investing in real estate, even though maybe I hadn't bought my first deal yet, but I was taking action every single day and being consistent. So it doesn't necessarily mean you had to have your first deal done. I mean, certainly at one point in time, and sooner than later, you have to get your first deal done. You have to actually get in business, but it starts with just, man, you got to take action.
I agree. I mean, and there is some prep work to do before you take the action. There's an educational component to feel like you actually have an idea of what's going on.
Yeah.
And you don't have to know every single thing in the world before you take action. The people that do never take action, it seems like, but join a mastermind, hire a coach, hire a mentor, go to conferences, you read every book on the specific kind of real estate investing that you want to do, listen to podcasts like this one. And that's going to get you to the point where you actually have an understanding of the framework of how a deal is going to work, and then partner with people who are already experienced with that kind of deal. That way, it's not just you trying to figure it out on your own, but you're working with somebody who's already been through the ringer, already done it. And that action, that you're, kind of holding somebody's hand through is going to make you feel like, okay, hey, I've done this once, I can do it again.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Education is huge, right? If you want to stop feeling like an imposter, understand what you're talking about, right? So get educated, start reading books, listen to podcasts, all that kind of stuff. Do everything that Matt just said. Like if you want to not feel like an imposter, well, then understand what you're talking about, right? Be present in what you're trying to do. And you're going to feel a lot more prepared when somebody asks you a question. You're not going to be like, yeah, I'm not sure, right? You're going to actually know how to answer the question. You're going to feel confident because you've got the experience of at least the education. We maybe don't have the experience of, 10 years, 15 years in the business, but you've got the education. What I think about too is like, it's the education, it's networking, it's constantly being out there, putting yourself out there. I'm thinking about some of the bigger not bigger podcasters, but some good size podcasters, right? And they've got their podcast or their educational platforms or thought leadership platforms. And when they started those, they were not successful investors. In fact, a couple of them that I can think of hadn't even done a deal. And they had this podcast following, and they had for a long time. And when I look at them now, there's actually some very well-known companies out there right now that's how they got their start. They started with a podcast first, interviewing other people. And then after lots of interviews, after getting a good following, then they started buying their own deals. And so, but what is that? Were they imposters? I mean, you could maybe argue that, hey, they were lying to people or they weren't being truthful, but I don't think, like, I'm trying to think about any, I guess I didn't follow those couple people. I'm thinking about three different people right now, and I don't want to call them out because, I just don't want to do that. But I'm thinking about three different people right now, very successful. And I don't remember them ever saying, hey, I own millions of dollars in real estate and I'm a big time investor. I don't remember them ever saying anything like that. All they did was interview people and ask good questions and put some input in here and there while they're doing their interview. And they created a following, and a lot of people then thought they were an expert. And quite frankly, they were becoming an expert because of how they're setting themselves up, but they weren't necessarily an expert by experience with owning a lot of properties, or an expert with an experience of talking with a lot of owners that owned a lot of properties.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. I mean, I think if you're lying about what you've done and what you're doing, that makes you an imposter. Whereas if
That's
you're,
truly an imposter, and
yes,
you should
exactly.
feel like an imposter.
Indeed, indeed. But if you're taking action, even if it's little actions daily to get you to the point where you're able to get deals done, even if you're not doing deals now, but you're taking action to get there, you're not an imposter. You're doing the work. You're laying the groundwork to make it happen.
Yeah. And I think a big part of that, like with what we've just been talking about, is like, look, if somebody asks you, you have to be honest with them. If somebody's like, oh, how many deals have you done? I don't lie about it, right? Be honest with them of what you've done. And so I think that's really important. Obviously, it's just telling the truth, sharing what you've done, sharing what you know, what you've learned. But if somebody's like, hey, how many, investments do you have right now? It's a, hey, look, I don't have any. I've been learning. I've been communicating with a lot of people. This is what I've learned so far. I've got, I've taken this course, I've hired this mentor, whatever it might be. But you got to be honest with where you're at. And one of the things I don't love in today's industry, in the syndication world, is everybody talking about, oh, I have whatever millions, $500 million of real estate, when in fact you've raised, $1 million for $500 million worth of real estate, or whatever it might be. Like, yeah, I mean, you've got 0.001% ownership in that deal. I feel like that's more of an imposter than a lot, a lot of the other people out there. So I think it's just being honest with people, my favorite one was, this gal was telling people how many units she had. Well, she had passively invested $5,000 into a deal. So as an LP, she had passively invested in this deal, and it was like a 900 unit building. And she would tell people that she owned 900 units. Um, that's just not right, in my opinion. Do what you want, I guess, but just I think the more honest you are to people of saying, hey, yeah, I'm a limited partner in 7 deals or something like that. I'm a limited partner in, you know, 5,000 units or whatever it might be. I think that's being honest, and I think that's going to actually yield you the best results.
Yeah, I think not a lot of people say it, but the unit count is meaningless. It's like how much of that do you actually own? Like you said, it matters more. So I think when people go to
And
meetups,
what's your role in it too? So
yeah,
how much do you own, and what's your role? And quite frankly, like, here's the thing, like, people just want you to be honest with them. So if you're like, hey, I'm an LP in 12 different deals. I've learned a ton being an LP. Now I'm raising money for different general partners, and I've raised, $3 million for general partners, or 10 million, or whatever it is. And I trust these people. I've done business with them for a long time, and they've got good results. Like people are like, oh yeah, heck yeah, I'm on board. Like I trust you. First of all, you told them the truth. And second of all, you told them why they should trust in you. Like that's all they care about. They don't you don't need to puff your chest and tell them, try to hide the fact that, you've got, you're at where you're at. Like it's impressive to have passively invested in a bunch of deals, to be an LP. It's impressive that you've raised money. Like what have you done that can help me as an LP to understand and trust you, right? So just be honest with people.
Yeah, and you're not in competition with anyone else other than yourself. So there's going to be people at whatever level you're at. There'll be people ahead of you, people coming up behind you. But that's okay. That doesn't matter. You're only trying to be the best that you can be. And if you really want to impress people, figure out how you can add value to them.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think that's a good point of, trying to shed that imposter syndrome is what you've learned, you teach others as well. And so just look, tell other people what you've learned. I think a cool idea, quite frankly, like this is, I wish I would have done this when I was first starting, and maybe I should just do it more because I'm still always learning. Is when you learn something, if you share your journey with others. You celebrate your successes. You talk about what you've learned, the mistakes maybe you've made, and just kind of share along the way. Be like, hey, look, today I learned about this. Look, today I read this book. Wow, here's a big piece of advice I got from this book today. If you can share your journey along the way, hey man, I've been struggling. This is what's going on. Man, I think you're going to get a lot of people that jive with where you're at and with kind of what you're feeling, and are going to really connect well with you. So I think just sharing your kind of your feelings, sharing your successes, your failures, kind of your journey along the way is really going to help gain a lot of trust from people. And just everybody's at a different spot, and it doesn't matter. People appreciate people that are starting but are putting the grind, the hard work in, and are just being honest and open.
Exactly. I mean, if you're your authentic self and just being open and honest, people aren't going to judge you for that. They just see, they understand, like, okay, that's where you are, and that's no problem. And then let's work together to help each other grow.
you know you know I think another thing, Matt, is you just got to accept like where you're at, right? You just got to accept it. Like accept that you aren't a you know, aren't a $1 billion real estate company, or don't own a $1 billion real estate company. Just accept the fact that you're not there yet. Like it's not that big of a deal. Here's what I tell people a lot is, look, if you own a duplex, if you own a rental duplex, you own more real estate than like 90% of the country. And I don't know if that's the actual fact, right? The actual number, but it's probably pretty close. And it might be even more. Like if you just own a single rental duplex, you own more real estate. You are more of an investor than like 90% of the people. And even when I go into a real estate conference in a real estate room, like the people that actually truly own a duplex, it's less than 50% of them. In almost every room I walk into, it's less than 50%. The other 50% are hoping to do their first deal. They're looking for their first deal. They're just like dreaming about their first deal. And probably 60 to 70% of them will never do their first deal. So even though you might feel like an imposter because you have a duplex or, 4 unit or something like that, man, you've done more than most.
Yeah, I mean, like you say, you walk into a real estate room, a meetup, a conference, or whatever. We're all just trying to figure it out. We're figuring different things out. But like I said earlier, if you can, meet people at these events and see how you can specifically add value to them, it takes away the onus from you and feeling like an imposter to, showing how you can benefit other people. You don't feel like an
Yeah.
imposter when you can add value to people and help them.
Yep. Yep. And don't discount the value. Don't discount what you've learned. Um, you don't need to be arrogant or be out there like puffing your chest about it. I think that definitely, again, we talked about just being genuine, but man, don't discount what you've learned. You know more than most people, and you've probably got more experience than most people, especially if you've done a deal or two. But if you've read 2 books, you probably know more than most people.
Yeah. Yes, indeed.
So, well, cool. I don't have anything else. I mean, just like, look, like I said, just take action. Eventually you got to take action. Eventually you got to start doing deals. And once you start doing deals, you're off to the races.
Exactly. Exactly. All right.
Cool. Well, Matt, anything else from you?
No, that's it for today.
All right. Well, hey, listeners, look, have a fantastic rest of the day. Make every day a Saturday. Hey, thanks so much for listening. I appreciate you being a loyal listener. Say, I would love to have you go on to our Facebook page and subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. Go on to iTunes or wherever you listen and give us a rating and review. Don't forget to subscribe. Your rating and review just helps us push this out to more and more people and continue to grow our audience and hopefully positively affect a ton of people out there that really need this and want this. So the other thing I've got for you is a free ebook on my website. So go on to venturedproperties.com, and download our free ebook on real estate and on syndication. And I've got some data points in there, some really good stuff for you. So I'd love to have you take a look at that. It's free. I'm not expecting anything from it. And also, look, if you want some help in multifamily, want some help learning, growing, getting your business off the ground, I would love to talk to you about what it would look like to work with me potentially and see if that's a good fit. So you can go to coachwithdex.com and check that out. And we can definitely have a call. Thanks a lot for listening. You make it a fantastic rest of the day. I'll catch you on the next episode.